Hi friends, tired of turkey? Well, today I've got a hot meatball sub that will put some mozzarella on the top, toast the sub roll. Nice change from the turkey. So let's go ahead and make those meatball subs. There's different ways you can do it. I'm going to do a mixture of mild ground Italian sausage. We'll use a little bit of ground beef. Some people put three different types of meat in here, um, but we're using what we got in the fridge. We've gone through and had all our Thanksgiving leftovers. We're ready for something a little different, right? Something with tomato sauce. Yum, yum, yum. And I have here, let me see how much I have on this pack. Let's see, all my glasses on. So that's about 2¼ pounds. So we're probably going to put around a pound, £1.25 in there. We had half a package of this Italian sausage, and this is a 16 ounce. So we have probably a little over 8 ounces because I used only about 1/4 of that package. So just mix that up a little bit so it's incorporated. Oh, it's cold. Just get that mixed through a little bit. And we're going to take some seasoning. Now I have a mixture of my own house blend Italian seasoning. We've got basil, little oregano, thyme, and a tad of rosemary. And we'll put that in there. And then we're going to put like salt and pepper. We'll do a little onion powder, garlic powder. Now, if you want, you can have chopped onions. Sometimes I'll do my meatballs with finely chopped onion, but we've been doing a lot of cooking, so today we're just going to do a real easy, and I'm not even measuring, but you're going to have a good 1.5 teaspoons of garlic powder, a good teaspoon of onion powder, 1.5 teaspoons if you want it more oniony flavor. We're going to do some salt. Probably need like a teaspoon of salt. And a little bit of black pepper. So I hope everyone had a nice Thanksgiving. We're going to use a dash of cayenne pepper. And we're going to do a little bit of red chili flakes. Now, if you don't like the heat, you can leave that out. But I find too that cayenne, if you just use a little bit, it gives you that nice little depth of background flavor, and you're like, what is that? And if you use just a little bit, it's not overpowering. So now next, we're just gonna get our hands in there and mix those seasonings well into the meat. Now, you could do too is you could take your breadcrumbs and mix all your seasoning into that. As long as you have it just nicely mixed through. You don't want to overplay the meat because that will make your meatballs a little tougher. And one trick, and we can use it today. Well, no, we don't. No, because you have to let it sit. You can tenderize your ground beef a little if you put a little baking. I'm not sure if it's baking powder or baking soda. I think either one. A lot of people do that, but you usually have to do it for like 15 minutes to half an hour. And we don't really need to do that today because we're about easy going. We're recuperating from all the holiday cooking. And we don't want to make a big mess in the kitchen, right? We've already done that. Now we got to kind of build up our strength for the Christmas season. So I'm going to take probably at least 3/4 a cup of breadcrumbs. I'm going to use 1/4 cup of plain panko, You can use seasoned, but we seasoned this pretty well, the meat, so that should be good. And some other just regular. No, I don't have quite a half a cup, so and I don't think I have any more, so we'll just add a little more panko to it. There we go. Now, one way that I do my meatballs, let me go ahead and get the pan, is I bake them in the oven. I learned this years ago. I wasn't a fan of frying them on top of the stove. I don't know if I didn't have the patience or what, but I'd usually have them overdone on the outside, undercooked on the inside, or totally overcooked. And when I found out about baking them, I'm like, hello, where has this idea been all my life? It's so much easier. Now we're going to mix that breadcrumb in there, and then we'll add 1 egg. And this is simple, right? It's like, meatballs, you don't just have to have them with spaghetti. You can have them in a sub, or you can have them, they're great for appetizers, right? There's how many different versions of meatballs? Swedish meatballs. I could remember growing up as a kid, a lot of the holiday parties always had Swedish meatballs. Remember that? And then there's another meatball that's pretty famous. I know it's got something like cranberry sauce or no, grape jelly, I think. One of my dear friends, if you're watching, hello friend, you know who you are. She loved those meatballs with the grape jelly. And if you want to make this a little moister, you can put a tad of milk in there. You could also add a little bit of, let's do that. Let's add a little bit of grated cheese to it. A little Parmesan Reggiano never hurt anybody. I always have that. It's a staple in my house. We use a lot of Parmesan cheese. Parmesan Reggiano. And let's get a grater. These really only have to cook in the oven for 20 minutes to 25, 30 minutes. I have my oven preheated to 360. We could put a little red wine in here too. Yeah, let's do that. So I wouldn't even say this is probably not even a quarter cup of cheese. Yeah, I'm going to get some red wine. Pretty much near the end of this bottle anyway, so I do cook. Mostly I make my spaghetti sauce, pasta sauce with red wine. I just love that depth of flavor. It's like, you know what, we'll save this little bit for the sauce. So we'll cook these up. And then when they're near to done, we'll go ahead and pour some sauce on there. So let's use this little scooper, cookie scoop that I got from Pampered Chef many years ago. And do the same exact size. You want your meatballs bigger, you can go ahead. Now you're going to have to adjust your time for cooking. But these make great size for a meatball sub. Even maybe a tad smaller. One thing too, I want to, you can make ahead some meatballs if you want to make Italian wedding soup. Then you would definitely use a smaller meatball. And you can make them up ahead and then freeze them, and then you're ready for a quick dinner. And you can make these ahead and put these in the freezer. Then when you're ready to serve, just pull out a jar of sauce. Make sure you take them out if you freeze them, make sure you take them out of the freezer the night before and thaw them out in the fridge. I suppose you probably could put the frozen meatball in a sauce and out, but I don't know. I like to do it the night before. Let's see, am I gonna? These are gonna probably be a little more scrunched in than I thought. So we're gonna have leftovers. Oh, rough times. Rough times. Teasing. So what is your favorite hot sandwich? Is it a meatball sub? You know, my husband and I are fans of Jersey Mike's, and we love to go there. Talking about subs. But they used to do a meatball sub, and they don't anymore. And I'm hoping they'll bring it back, because now we don't go that much, because my husband, he doesn't like the other subs pretty much. So it's like, what's the point? What's the point going there? So I go there on my lunch break sometimes from work when I want one of those. I always get I think I get the original Italian sub. That's yum, yum, yum. And I always get it Mike's way. Yum. Reminds me, I grew up in Connecticut, and that reminds me of the subs that we used to have. Of course, back then, I don't know if they still call them grinders, but that's what we called them. The sub sandwich was called a grinder, and they had the most delicious Italian bread there in Connecticut. East Haven, a shout out to East Haven, Connecticut. And last time we were there, we were going to pick up a loaf. We were there in the spring. I hadn't been there in quite a while. And we were going to get some Italian bread, but we forgot. But we did get some pizza from one of our favorite pizza places there in East Haven. It's called Toli's Pizza. And they have the wood, I think it's the wood fire oven. But oh, phenomenal pizza. So we did get that. And then while we were in Connecticut, we also got fried clams. Or I got fried clams. Because I live in the Northwest now, the Pacific Northwest. And they have a different type of clam. I don't know if they're the razor clams, if that's what they're called. I forget right off the top of my head. I can't remember, but yeah, they're a whole different flavor, different texture, and they have. I like the clams that they have. I'm not sure if it's little necks or what clams they use for the New England. If it's, I'll have to look that up. So simple. We're gonna get those in the oven, bake them to 25 to 30 minutes, and we will be back probably about 22 minutes in. We'll go ahead and put our sauce in there, and then we'll finish baking it off a little bit. All right, it's almost time to put the sauce on those meatballs. I'm going to add a little bit of tomato paste to the jar sauce just to add a little depth of flavor and richness. Let's do probably about 2 tablespoons. Just want to add a little bit of, and I'm kind of just breaking that up, incorporating it in there a little bit, so it's nice and smooth in there. I got a little bit of that red wine. Oh, I guess that was a little more than I thought. I thought it was like 2 tablespoons left. It's probably like almost a 1/4 cup. Maybe not quite, but close. All right. Pull the meatballs out of the oven. Ooh, smells good. And we can drain off some of that fat before we put the sauce on. I'm trying to think. I think this package of ground beef was either 85 or 93%. But we had the fat from the sausage too, so. We have a tablespoon or so. I don't even think we have 2 tablespoons in there, so. Looks good. I'm gonna let these cook about 7, probably like 7 more minutes. Smells so good. I'm getting hungry. How about you? All right, we'll get our bread ready for those subs. All right, let's get our rolls ready. Did I buy these yesterday? Yes, yesterday. This one's. We'll just do 2 for me and the hubby. Gotta get it serrated. You want a hearty enough sub that it's going to hold all that sauce. And we're just going to slice down. I'm not going to go all the way to the bottom and not all the way to the edge. Well, maybe close to it. Yeah, let's spread it open. I'm committed. Now you can brush the inside these with a little bit of olive oil, garlic powder if you like. Or just keep them plain. We got that all ready. I can hardly wait. Oh, I almost forgot the mozzarella. Can't forget that. What am I thinking? Okie doke, let's take those meatballs out of the oven. Oh. Smells so good. Now, if you had a big family, and that's plenty enough, but we are going to have leftovers. But I'm gonna go ahead and put some meatballs in here, and then we're gonna put a little mozzarella cheese on that. Oops. 3. I was hoping I could fit 4, but I think we'll be having an explosion then. Put a little bit of the sauce on top. And probably the best would work is some shredded mozzarella. But I only had pearls because I made something else this week with mozzarella, and that's what I used. So that's what I'm going to use today. Really doesn't matter so much the shape of it, except for a shredded will probably that will melt a lot quicker. But as far as the taste, put about 8 of those in there. Ooh, hot. Yeah. And then we'll put a little more. Let's put a few more in there. Then we'll put a little more Parmesan Reggiano on there. And stick that back in the oven just for a few minutes. So let that cheese melt. We could even put it under the broiler. So you saw that big pan. Didn't count how many I had. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19. So almost 2 dozen meatballs. I'm going to put this on broil. And I'm not going to put it way at the top, but let's start with 2 minutes and keep an eye on it. It's going to be a nice change from all the turkey and the turkey leftovers, right? You know, if you're watching this another part of the year, then this is going to be a great sandwich no matter when. You could serve this for supper, or you know, having a football party, or just something a little bit, you know, game night or movie night. This is a fun and yummy meal. Serve this with a salad, right? I'm going to put this on the one pot holder and put that out of the way. Now these meatballs probably are going to be awesome the next day. So even if you want to make them the one day and then heat whatever meatballs you're going to use the next day, heat them up a little bit and heat them back in the oven or in the microwave, and then make up your sandwiches, and they're going to taste awesome the next day because the sauce really gets a chance to sit in there for a few hours and just really absorb into the meat. Yum. But I'm going to take my leftovers and freeze them. All right, let's see how they work. Ooh, need it on high. Probably could have put it on low. So I'm going to turn that oven right off. Put this on the bottom shelf because we do need it to melt a little bit more. So I'm going to do it for 2 more minutes. So if you put it under the broiler, I put it on the 3rd shelf down. Put it on low. All right, let's take those subs out of the oven. We're going to let them cool down because they're way too hot to bite into. You can cut them in half if you don't want it to be so bulky. But make sure you have plenty of napkins or paper towels because this is saucy. So I hope you enjoyed this video. A nice break from Thanksgiving turkey leftovers. And you know, this is just like I said, you can go ahead and freeze those if you have leftover meatballs. Pull them out on a night where you need a quick dinner. It's already made for you. So we will continue to do some Christmas videos with plenty of Christmas desserts and some side dishes, and we'll see what else. I haven't totally decided, but I know we'll do some desserts. We're going to have hopefully I'm having a collab with my daughter. We're going to make one of our favorite Christmas cookies called chocolate jumbles. So stay tuned for that. But thanks for watching today. Hope you enjoy your hot Italian meatball sub. I know we are. We'll see you next time.